Look at that, I got you all out of work. Well, this is technical work. So today you're getting a trifecta, three-fer. First thing we're going to go over is we're going to provide feedback to the workforce or comments. It's going to be a dialogue. We can make it as short or as long as you want it, but the most important thing is that it's meaningful. And it's feedback from both our EO and our safety assessment. So we're going to talk about that first. And then we're going to move on to something I love doing. I love doing that other stuff, but number two is recognizing the workforce and the tremendous contribution you guys make on a day-to-day basis, the unsung heroes. So we're going to do that. And I think the third thing that is almost probably even better, then we're going to go have an adult beverage or water or Coke, some finger food, and we're all going to get to talk and interact and crack jokes and do what a good workforce and organization does. It's kind of lay back and socialize. And that's the most important thing when it comes to successful organizations, getting to know one another, sharing a quick wit and really gossiping what's going on. So before we do any of that, I'm going to break the ice a little bit with a 5-minute video. And the purpose of this video is not to make you go to sleep. It's to do two things. In successful organizations, the thing that really characterizes them foremost is trust. Trust down that the workforce, everybody's going to do the right thing without the boss there. Matter of fact, you don't even need the boss. And then everybody trusts the chain of command up that they're going to fight the fights, they're going to do what's right, and they have your back at the end of the day. The second piece that's going to be the takeaway is all about empowerment. Empowering down, using trust as that model to the lowest level that you're going to do the right thing. And you're going to do the right thing because you know it's the right thing to do. So with that, go ahead, cue the video. Todd? What'd you think? And that's poignant and powerful at every level. And that is where we should strive for, right? At every level. And just, I think when I saw that video a couple months ago, I'm like, wow, that's really powerful. And I wanted to share it, and you guys kind of process the message. So, are you slide guy, Todd? Yes, sir. Next slide. That's where you can get it to. All right, so we did a EO survey back in November of last year, and these are some of the results. To set it up real quick, this is our aggregate workforce right now. So ballpark around 406, males 291, and females 115. And please stop me, the Sergeant Major, at any time if you have questions, or if I'm too fast, too slow, or said something stupid, chime in. Next slide. So based off the respondents, there were 131. That's, again, the gender breakdown, 59, 41 respectively. Next slide. The framework and really the why we're doing this is to assess organizational effectiveness. So the goalpost, what I just showed you earlier, is kind of the ideal, right? The normative, fancy place on the hill we all strive to shoot for. And this is really kind of where we're at now. And to give us a snapshot on some of the work we'd like to do. These are the questions. There's 95 questions that fell into these frameworks, these are subcategories, if you will. Next slide. When it comes to the climate factors in this framework, you can't see these the colors really well. But the bottom line for last year, we had a red area here in diversity management and a green, which is above in job satisfaction. What you see now is all blue, which is within the standard Army writ large, which is the comparison of analysis for this, that we're doing all right. Not great, but there's not really a bad either. So we're just kind of above average. Please stop me if I'm way off skew. Is that about right, consensus-wise? Anybody have heartburn with this? Next slide. When it comes to EO specific, really the fair treatment factors, these are the framework and the subcategories which some of the questions align to. Sexist behaviors, harassment, discrimination, observations of racist behavior, and so forth. Next slide. And honestly, from FY16 to FY17, there was not any hot spot that was outside of tolerance in any of those categories. Is that fair? Is this accurate? Does anybody have heartburn with this? And again, this is predicated off the 179 responses that we got. Next slide. All right, so within the 95, actually outside of the 95, there's 10 questions that previous commanders and sergeant majors had put in there and helped benchmark some of these specific target areas that, I can't see the colors, that weren't included in the 95. You'll notice all of them, I think, but two are really the same generally. I generally feel informed about changes that affect me within my organization. About 1/3 of the workforce consistently, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, feel like there is a communication, maybe not breakdown, but definitely we could do a better job at communication flow. Number two, I can see the link between my work and the organization's objective. There's a slight uptick here. I'd be curious to hear y'all's thoughts at the end of this of why. Is it because of the fiscal constraints, decreased workforce? I mean, what is causing that, do we think? Next slide. Number three, I receive periodic formal feedback from my rater. Again, these are one of those things that actually have, this is improved. It's improved. So good job, mid-level managers and higher. All right, number four, I have clear measures for each of my objectives. Again, within tolerance, almost 1/3 disagree though, so that ties back into the communication aspect between mid-level managers, senior managers, and workforce. Next slide. I believe there are a variety of ways for me to develop my career. Again, about the same, but it's about that 1/3. You know, there's 1/3 of the workforce writ large that we can do a better job at communicating to. And again, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. 6.1, my leader holds me accountable for the work that I do. That's good. That's actually a positive thing. So that's a plus. Next slide. I receive enough recognition for work that I do. Within tolerance, I would like to see that disagree go down with venues like this, where we publicly recognize you. And I think this is recent when we started doing this, right? Somebody give me a thumb.
No,
it's not.
Been doing it for about a year.
A year. So we're going to continue this. And I think the purpose of why we have done it is really to address this. We need to publicly recognize and thank those that are going above and beyond. So that's a good thing. Leaders of my organization care about my ideas. A little uptake and disagree, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that one. Next slide. Employees in the organization are treated with dignity and respect. About the same, quarter, 25%-ish. There's some heartburn there. So again, if you have some thoughts on that, I'd be curious to hear it. And then the last one, the overall health of my directorate is better than a year ago. Uptick in disagree, and I think that's somehow tied to some workforce decreases, TDA adjustments, and fiscal constraints. But I could be wrong. Next slide. So the top survey themes that I want to share with you are these. Foremost, it seems to be a lack of communication. I don't know if it's subordinate to higher, higher to subordinate, bidirectional, omnidirectional, whatever, but it seems like there's a breakdown. Maybe there's not everybody coming together at the beginning of the workday. These are the priorities, 1, 2, 3. Let me know about 3 by COB. And then at the end of the day, you're doing a huddle as well. I don't know if your operational tempo supports good communication. There may be DPWs out in the field, so how do you, as well as DES, so how do you adjust for that to facilitate? Not everyone's attached to a BlackBerry like me, unfortunately. Manpower, that's another one of the themes. We've taken a series of hits in the last 5 years. It's really been this downward trend. I'm cautiously optimistic. We've hit that inflection point where it's going to start going up here, but I know it's an area of concern. And of course, the last one, this one as well is near and dear to my heart, is the budget cuts. We are slowly hemorrhaging and bleeding out. I got it. Message loud and clear, and I am deeply committed to fighting for every resource and every man, woman, everything we need for the team. So before I go any further, I'm going to put the brakes on it, and I'm going to kind of throw it out there as a softball if somebody wants to talk about this. Sorry, Major?
Yes, that's my cue. How's everybody doing? I like to walk around when I talk, if that's okay. So basically, what the commander has provided you all was the feedback from the survey. Everybody had the opportunity to take the survey, and some people chose not to take the survey, and that's up to you. But I will tell you, your voice is being heard through the survey, and those are the results that came out of it. And if you didn't take the survey, it's okay. Hopefully you'll take it the next time. But today, if you want to tell myself or the commander anything while we're in this forum, how you feel, you have the right to do that. If you don't want to say it in this forum, we're going to also make sure that you understand you have agencies that you can still go to, the Equal Opportunity Office, the EEO office, myself and the commander. We have an open door policy. So at all means, you can go to your open door policy. Of course, we highly encourage you to utilize your chain of command. But once again, we have the open door policy. If you want to come to us, no one has the right to tell you that you cannot come see us through our open door policy. I want to make sure that everyone is completely clear on that. But I highly encourage you to try to handle your issues at the lowest level possible. One thing we can do as leaders, as peers, as subordinates, is to treat each other with dignity and respect. You know, treat each other with dignity and respect. Let's make sure that we are utilizing the rules and the regulatory guidance that we are supposed to be using on a daily basis. So once again, this is an open forum for anybody to share their thoughts, if you like to share your thoughts. Okay? Once again, we're going to have focus groups and things like that in the very near future, and those focus groups will be more geared towards individuals of the same rank, the same positions and things of that nature, so you'll be able to discuss what you want to discuss. Sometimes, you know, a lot of people don't want to say things in front of their supervisors because they're afraid of retaliation. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it, okay? I'm not going to hold back on it. I'm just going to tell you, a lot of people don't want to say those things. But if you, while you're in this organization, if you feel that you need to let somebody know something may not be going quite right, hey, come back and let us know. And once again, we do great things every day in the organization. You've seen some of the things that the commander had highlighted. We're definitely increasing in some of those areas, but we need to continue to work hard. We need to continue to work hard. And then finally, everybody's perception is their reality. Everybody's perception is their reality. So when someone comes to you, and if you're a leader or you're a peer or you're a subordinate, you must understand that is how they're perceived at that particular time. That's why we have the agencies, we have leaders that have those open door policies so that you can come in and talk. So at this time, as the commander stated, does anyone have anything that they would like to discuss? Maybe give us some ideas that we can go back and we can translate and make the organization better. I'm not going to write anything down, but I do have a scribe up here, the Equal Opportunity Advisor, and he'll be writing those things down. Anything that you can think of, just in general, that may make the organization better, or anything you want to comment, now is your time to please comment.
And it's not really a...
We can't see you.
Could you stand up, please? And, hey, could you do me a favor? Everyone seems to, but when you stand up, say your name, where you work. So
hello, my name is Sunny. I'm with Joint, obviously Joint Mixed Fire with MWRCYS. The only, it's maybe a, I know that, so I took that survey, so thank you. And I know those questions, people may not have, whoever puts them out may not be able to change those questions at all. So for a really long time, I've had a problem with the phrase lack of communication, because there's two different things. Is it a lack of communication, or is it the person who says it was a lack of communication really didn't like what was very clearly communicated? So is there a way to go back, you know, I don't know if you can go back or change it or do something else? Because if information's put out there and somebody doesn't like it, it could be, well, there's a lack of communication because you really just didn't like what was actually very clearly put out there. So there is maybe a variance or something that can be, you know, not everybody likes what you have to say, so it's, well, that was communicated.
I think it's fair, but once again, it goes back to everybody's perception, their reality.
Yes.
And so a lot of the things that you all won't see on these slides are actual comments that myself, the commander, and the equal opportunity advisor, you know, are privy to see. So some people also take the time to, you know, express their comments, and sometimes that explains, you know, what they're talking about, and it could be a single incident, or it could be something, you know, it's been, of course, you know, over the course of the period of time. So I fully understand what you're saying, and we definitely take all that into consideration, but this is just a snapshot of basically, you know, what's been going on as far as those that took the survey.
So some of the private details, there's hot spots, and we'll talk about that. We'll have directed focus groups to kind of tease some of these out, because everyone wants to be a part of a winning organization and a great organization. It's a great place to work. I mean, management come to a place where, you know, you're a grown adult, make the right decisions and do it on behalf of everybody, and that's a great place to work. Everybody wants that, a great place to work. So how do we achieve that? But fair enough. Who else has something? And we can do it over a beer later. Are we off base? Is there something we're missing? Sam?
Sam, from the DRN. My thing is, with these surveys, again, like Sonny said, there's no comment. You can't make a remark. You answer the question, but it may not be completely how you feel, or you want to express the answer that way. So I think these surveys need to be edited.
And we agree, because this survey is more, a lot of it, the ones that took it, you will see it was mostly geared towards the military population. So we definitely understand that, so we'll definitely take that back. We've already seen that, and we see what we can do, especially because of the environment. So instead of just having a general Army Equal Opportunity Survey, when you go back to the Army Defense Equal Opportunity Institute, we can take that back, and maybe they can go back in and, you know, so we can get a better understanding of what needs to be filtered to the personnel that's going to take the survey. So basically based on the audience that's going to take the survey. Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Tony Taylor, I'm with DPW, actually over O&M. With 53 plus employees, most of them wage grade, out doing work in the, I guess, outside of the administrative area. The communication for us is very difficult. It goes back to only 2 computers that they actually have access to when they do come back, and us to communicate is either by telephone. Some of those areas are not reachable. So a lot of things that are getting out, either they're in the morning time when we meet, or in the afternoon, and some of that's basically too late to be put out, or we got to call them individually. And that, you know, as supervisors with the manpower of the second one, sometimes that just doesn't happen. Now, that's not an excuse. I'm just saying, if there's a workaround, or how we can somehow, you know, better able ourselves to make that work.
Tony, you're getting pushed to talk on all your phones, so you can set up work groups, and you can talk to every single one of your guys all at once, no matter where they are.
Okay, I mean, that would help considerably. We used to do radios and stuff like that, and it was the brick would, you know, fall out.
So once again, different ideas, you know, we got something from him. So, and as we go through this process, not just today, but, you know, as we prolong it, because it's not just a today's process. It's a process over a period of time. And you may have good ideas, he may have good ideas, maybe others that may have good ideas from parts of organizations they worked for in the past, or supervisors they worked for in the past.
How many iPads do we have?
We're getting 20.
So we're getting 20 iPads to help with that too. We're going to get, I'd like to get some more. So with the workforce, you know, it's a mobile iPad. You just take a crew potentially could take it with them, and now they're connected. So, and we're getting free Wi-Fi.